First step towards beating procrastination is to make sure as you are starting this video you finish. If you can skip this one, postpone it, move it for another time, say I'll finish it later, then you are simply not ready for what you want.
On this video, ensure you watch till the end, as Apostle Femi Lazarus spoke strongly about procrastination, reasons a lot of people don't succeed in life and relationships.
Let's start with that. First, let's try to understand what the word procrastination means. All right, what does it mean to procrastinate? It simply means not to follow through on what you ought to do. To be a procrastinator is to form an habit or to build a character where you simply don't follow through on what you ought to do. When you ought to do something, you find ways to move into the future what ought to be done now. You see, and one of the dangers of procrastination is that you replace what ought to be done now with something much more irrelevant. There are two sides to procrastination. First, you are moving into the future, what ought to be done now. Then you are replacing what ought to be done now with something irrelevant. And sometimes that's what people don't talk about. It's the fact that when you procrastinate what you ought to do, you're actually not doing something meaningful with the time that should bring a level of value at the level of what you have pushed aside. To understand that, to be a procrastinator is to form the habit of moving for later what ought to be done now. All right? To procrastinate is to, look at this, is to build an habit around delaying what needs immediate action. The issue is that a person given to procrastination has a way of delaying what requires urgent action. And this simple thing we are talking about is the biggest reason why many people have died unfulfilled. It is the biggest reason why many people went to their grave unhappy. It is the biggest reason why many people died as mediocres. It is the biggest reason why many people only had dreams and never accomplished those dreams, because they kept shifting and shifting. And you see, this is it. The mistake people make around the subject of procrastination is that they think that every season lasts forever. Let me say it again. A procrastinator thinks that he will always have the same opportunity to do later what ought to be done now. And that's costly. To assume that seasons will hang around forever, to assume that opportunities will hang around forever, is to take a very, very serious risk. Because